I've never heard anything like that. So I'm Sarah, and just a little reminder. I'm an environmental science major with a biology minor, and I remind you of that because my story is about how I fell in love with my major and with biology and the study of living things, and it all goes back to my years in high school, my sophomore and my senior year. My sophomore year was the first year I had a real biology class, and the teacher of that class was, the person in my life that I would call my mentor, the person that kind of guided me towards, what I want to do now with my life and a little bit more of who I am. And his name was Mr. Shields. He was a really incredible teacher. And my senior year of high school, he led a trip to Costa Rica for 8 students to study in the rainforest. And so I was one of the 8 students that went. And so my senior year of high school, I went with him and spent 8 days living and kind of exploring the Costa Rican rainforests. And so that's really where my story begins of really how I started falling in love with the subject and with living things. And so I went to Costa Rica, and every night we slept in these little huts, these little bungalows in the middle of the rainforest, which was really awesome. Like there are only little like footpaths to these bungalows, and we did awesome things. Like we went on night hikes, and we were in the middle of the rainforest, and I remember there was one night where we found this sloth with a little baby on his back, right overhead, and then we kept walking on this night hike, and I used my flashlight, and I found a tarantula hole, and I remember looking inside, and there was this like fist-sized tarantula, like 2 feet in front of my face, and I yelled, and then people sprinted past me, and I like started running, and really, really cool things like that. And then I'd say the scariest part of the trip was the second night when I got into my hut, the first one of the huts that we were staying in for a few days. And I walked up to my hut, and I opened the door, and I flipped on the light, and it had been dark in there, and I looked straight ahead at the bed, and I saw a little black thing. I mean, not really that little, but this, relatively speaking. And I walk over to the bed, and I look down, and it's a scorpion in the bed. And so in 10 seconds, I had this series of panic attacks. I freaked out. I started screaming, and then I instinctively took my water bottle, dumped it out, and just put it over the scorpion. And I'm like screaming to my roommates, like, "Get Mr. Shields, like, do something, like, this can't be in my bed." And so I'm like, I have my water bottle over it, and I'm watching it like sting the side of the water bottle, and like it's moving its pinchers really violently, and I'm like, I'm separated by a water bottle, but I don't want my hand this close to this thing. And so Mr. Shields runs in, and he grabs it, and he like puts something under it, and he throws it outside, right? And he comes back in, and he goes, "Scorpions always travel in pairs. We have to search the rest of this hut." And so we like tear down everything in the room, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping here if we don't find another scorpion. And we didn't find another scorpion, but he's like, "This is the only place that we have for you to sleep." So me and the 2 girls that we were sharing a bunk with, we never found another scorpion, but we had pushed our beds together, and we slept with the lights on because scorpions hide in dark places. So, and we like barricaded around our beds, and just didn't sleep for the next 2 or 3 days because that was the hut that we stayed in for a few days. And so needless to say, we had some really crazy stories like that. Oh, and then there was this other organism that we found in the rainforest. It's called the bullet ant. And the reason it's called the bullet ant is because it's the 3rd most painful sting in the world. And when you are stung by it, it's as though you had been shot with a bullet. And they are all over the trees. And so we're the first day in the rainforest, we're walking, and our guide was like, "Whatever you do, play with a rattlesnake, but don't touch the trees. Don't touch the trees. They get really defensive of their territory." And so it was a pretty scary thing, but really awesome. And so that trip really solidified what I love to do and what I love to study, and and I came home, and I remember just thinking, like, that was incredible, seeing all these amazing creatures, amazing things in another part of the world, you know, not just in New England. That was just really awesome, and I loved it. And so now I'm in school for it, and I can say that my love for biology